that provide the platform for you to assume power. And all of a sudden, you jump out of that political party and you throw the party into a ruin. These are issues that give us serious concern. From the early years of the Fourth Republic to the present moment, ways of defection have repeatedly reshaped the political landscape, altering party dominance. Just like in America, party is more dominance there. For instance, the Republican and Democratic Party. These are the two strong parties that has been changing power from one party to the other amongst themselves. Not voluntarily anyway, but via the electorate. And look at, for instance, the British. Talked about the Conservative, Labour, and maybe Liberal Party or thereabout. And these parties have been producing the Prime Minister of Great Britain for some time now. But in Nigeria, I get amazed at the rate at which people just decamp. People jump ship. People begin to print all manners of coloration. All just because to leave their party that seems not to be more favorable to them. It's more of an ambition. It's more of grabbing political power. And that is why whenever they get to that party, and maybe a political party wins an election, the next thing is to share the loot, so to speak, or the booty, or the gains, or so to speak. Which simply means that there is no party loyalty whatsoever. You only go to where you think will be of beneficiary to you. Now, what should ordinary landscape altering party dominance, weakening opposition forces? Like I said the other time, I said from the early years of the Fourth Republic to the present moment, waves of defection have repeatedly reshaped the political landscape, altering political party dominance, weakening opposition forces, and raising concerns about the stability of democratic institutions. What should ordinarily be a rare and ideological grounded decision has evolved into a routine political strategy, often executed without regard for the mandate of the voters. And that's where the question is. From all this defection here and there, what is the interest of the electorate that actually voted you in the first place? These are questions begging for answer. Politicians will just decide one day and just jump ship. To everybody's amazement, particularly the legislators, they'll be telling you that they've consulted their constituencies and they've discussed what is going on with them, and the constituency approve their decamping. And you know that as I speak, I have not, to the best of my knowledge and understanding, I am yet to see a legislature, probably at the State House Assembly or National Assembly, holding constituency or senatorial meetings with the people that actually elected him there on his or her plan to defect from one party to the other. But whenever they appear before the press, whenever they appear before the camera, all they will tell you is that after a wider consultation with my political associates, with my electorate, my constituency, we've now decided that I should jump ship at my political party. It's so unfortunate that the electorate find themselves in this quagmire. This pattern has fueled a growing sense of disillusionment among citizens who increasingly view political parties as indistinct platforms and elected officials as self-serving actors. Of course, it is more of a self-serving exercise. It is more of a self-serving agenda. It is more of a self-serving intention rather than people-oriented programs, or rather than people-oriented, intention, so to speak. But what they consider first is how they can remain in power. The question is this: why does it appear that an average Nigerian politician doesn't want to leave power? If we put into consideration the fund that is being accrued into these various arms of government, you'll be amazed. Particularly, let us look at the legislative arms of government. We're talking about oversight function. We're talking about constituency projects. We know the millions and billions that runs into stuff like that. Nigerian democracy seems to be too expensive. It Is this how the British handed it over to us in 1960? Or was it the kind of presidential system of government we actually copied from America? Is that what we are practicing now? It's unfortunate I find ourselves in this quagmire. It's unfortunate. Like I said, this pattern has fueled a growing sense of disillusionment among citizens who increasingly view political parties as indistinct platforms and elected officials as self-serving actors. As Nigeria approaches another crucial phase in its democratic journey, the phenomenon of political defection demands closer scrutiny, not only for what it reveals about the political class, but for what it portends about the future of governance, opposition strength, and democratic consolidation in the country. And that is why we are bringing up this topic today. Because we are not only for what it reveals about the political class, but for what it portends about the future of governance. At times I begin to ask myself, take for instance, how do you think that can be formidable, or let's say, how do you think that can be a reasonable level of check and balances if, for instance, the entire legislative arm of political party the entire legislative arm belongs to a singular political party? Who is to check the president? Just like America, for instance, where the Democrat and Republican are almost having equal number of strength in their various chambers. But is that what is obtainable in Nigeria? The answer is no. So where do we go from here? When particularly, for instance, in Nigeria now, virtually the entire National Assembly, both the representative and the Senate, they not belong to one political party. Or if they are not, if not all, but a reasonable number of them belongs to the same political party. How do we now determine what brings about checks and balances from the legislature to the executive? These are questions begging for answer. Please don't change the dial. We want to go on a very short break. We will be back in a moment.
Kini sùúrù tí ò lérè, kini iṣẹ́ tí kò ṣeré, wọ́n ṣàlẹ́yọ̀ tí ò lóko.
Báyìí pẹ̀tẹ̀pẹ̀tẹ̀ dáná ní ìpọ̀pá, ẹni bá tàgbà kó lọ́mọ ọ̀tẹ̀ ní. Ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́ máa sùn? Ṣé bá sọ pé ó mọ kankan? Ẹ̀yin àrò lẹ́ máa wà. Ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́ máa ṣẹlẹ̀ o? Ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́ máa sùn? Ṣé ní o ṣẹ́gun wá kan? Ẹ̀yin àrò lẹ́ máa wà.
Welcome back. The Nigerian multi-party democracy was designed to provide ideological choices, policy alternatives, and accountability. Yet the increasing frequency of defection has reduced political parties to mere platforms for power acquisition rather than vehicles of idea. And that takes to South Africa during the era of Jacob Zuma. It was the party, at the era of Thabo Mbeki. It was the party that said for Thabo Mbeki to have been involved in the prosecution of Jacob Zuma that he should step down. And Thabo Mbeki actually stepped down. Likewise, Jacob Zuma, it was the party that actually sued him to the reason that he was removed from office. But the question is this: can such thing happen in Nigeria? Party that does not even have ideology? Or let me say, they have an ideology. And the entire party in Nigeria can tell you authoritatively they are having just one ideology. And what is the ideology? The ideology is to grab power. And after grabbing power, and the next thing is how to share positions, how to share offices. But when it comes to party manifestos, no matter how much they try to garnish it, no matter how much they try to paint a picture of the differences in their political ideology, the very minute they come together, I can assure you, they are all the same. That is why it seems so easy for any person to jump from one party to the other. And before you say Jack Robinson, easily, such defector fuses in, knows the system, knows how to go about navigating the system. All because they all have an ideology. And what's their ideology? Grab the power and share the load. Grab the power and share the booty. Grab power and share position and offices. That is why some people tell you that in politics you need to invest. Where lies the interest of the masses? Or where lies the interest of the electorate? And of course, as we all know, poverty has been so weaponized in the system that it's very easy for you to manipulate, maneuver, or change the intention of an electorate. It's just a stipend that cannot even take you for a month, even for a week. But Jack Robinson, those electorate will change their ideology, and that's where we find ourselves. So it simply means that, as far as Nigeria is concerned, we still have a very long way to go concerning our electoral system, concerning our political party ideologies, and that is why today we are bringing to you what led to what in the Nigerian system. I back in the moment. Please don't change the dial.
Kini sùúrù tí ò lérè? Kini iṣẹ́ tí kò ṣeré? Wọ́n ṣàlẹ́yọ̀ tí ò lóko.
Like I said, the Nigerian multi-party system democracy was designed to provide ideological choices, policy alternatives, and accountability. Yet the increasing frequency of defection has reduced political parties to a mere platform of power acquisition rather than vehicle of ideas. Politicians move with ease across party lines, often without any indiscernible shift in ideology or policy conviction. At its core, this trend exposes a troubling reality. Nigerian politics is driven less by principle and more by access to power, patronage, and political survival. And that's just a summary of the entire political parties you have in Nigeria. No matter how much they try to paint it, no matter how much they try to garnish it with all forms of idea, it's a means to an end. And what is the end? To access power, patronage, and political survival. The elite goes for the power to actually get power, while the less privileged go for political patronage. And some people that probably felt that the party they find themselves is no more comfortable, they now look for political survival on another political platform. And that is what the entire Nigerian political party stands for. No more, no less. This can be fact-checked. And that is why it's very easy for you to be in a party today, and before under 24 hours, you've jumped ship to another party. It's for political survival. I learned someone once said that you cannot be in a party that is so toxic. It cannot be in a troubled party. It cannot be in a party that won trouble for one day. But the question is this: the Nigerian system, are we not facing challenges from insecurity to economy to ethnic, religious, unrest, and just name it? Is that not a problem on its own? I'm trying to ask this question. If somebody cannot withstand the challenges in just a political party of less than maybe 1 or 2 million persons, or maybe 10 million at most, how then can he manage over 200 million population of the Nigerian populace? That is the latest trend. And if you look at it in-depthly, the people that ask this question, are they being sincere? To a large extent, of course, there is reasons, or should I say, the question being asked is quite reasonable. If you cannot withstand a party of less than 10 million, how can you then now solve the over 200 million Nigerian population, ranging from banditry, economy, ethnic sentiment, religious, and what have you? I'll be back in a moment. Please don't change the dial.
Kini sùúrù tí ò lérè? Kini iṣẹ́ tí kò ṣeré? Wọ́n ṣàlẹ́yọ̀ tí ò lóko.
Welcome back. Like we made it to understand in introduction, this is a program that's having this feedback segment whereby you can call in to hear your view, opinions, and ideas. and your contribution concerning any topic being discussed. Like I said, either in security, economy, or political. Our studio line is 08165524699. I call that again, 08165524699. Or probably you can join us via our social media handles, either on X, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or WhatsApp on iPower 1027 FM. iPower 1027 FM. Now, what is the driver of these political defections? Like I've always said, one thing will always lead to the other. But one thing I've come to realize is this, and no matter how much you try to paint the picture of what led to the defection, it's completely immaterial to this politician. The gale of defection in Nigeria is not accidental. It is rooted in structural weakness within the political system. Number one, weak party ideology. Political parties in Nigeria are largely indistinguishable in terms of ideology. They are all the same. There is no difference whatsoever. Forget about the grammar they use in garnishing their policy front, their manifesto, and what have you. Foul. They are all the same. And what is the ideology? Grab power and share the positions, or grab power and share offices. That is why you see people getting involved in political patronage. That's why you see people trying to go to one party or the other for political survival. That is one singular ideology the entire parties are having. No matter how good they try to paint it, that is just the simple truth. Studies consistently identify the absence of clear ideological framework as a major driver of defection. Without ideological anchors, party membership becomes transactional, making defection a low-cost decision. Of course, it's transactional. The question is this: whenever you come to any party, they will be asked, what do you have to bring to the table? A typical example was during the Buhari era. The only thing he brought to the table was the number of followers he had from the northern Nigeria. Aside that, nothing else. Some people said, during his reign as Minister of State, him and Ndiagbon around 1983 or thereabout, that Adebayo has stayed longer than that, Nigeria would have come and led Dorado. But lo and behold, he was given the opportunity in the year 2015. What was he able to do with it? Everything was completely messed up. Yes, I'm able to say that. I don't think we've ever had it this worst. This was the man that was completely bereaved of ideas. It now became so glaring to people that the person actually made the government then to work during that military era was late Tunde Idiagbon. That the so-called president then, or head of state then, in person of Buhari, was empty. And he actually established it when he became the president. And the only thing that he used to negotiate then was the organic followership he had from northern Nigeria. Because right from the year 2003 to when he contested and won the election and became the president, is over 8-9 million votes was always constant. And that was the only thing he brought to the table. And that was the singular reason why the then ACN went to woo him to come to the party. Which simply means that there is no clear-cut ideology. It's just transactional. And some people, of course, because they felt that, okay, they felt disenchanted in their party. They are not looking for another political patronage, political survivor, where they can survive, particularly in a case whereby your party is no longer at the ends of affairs. Which party can I go to that can win the election and probably I'll be let off the hook of any anti-corruption agency? Or probably where can I go that if this party win the election, I can be given one position or the other? Political survivor. The entire Nigerian political party revolves around those three things: transactional, patronage, and survivor. Like I made to understand the other time, I said many defectors are motivated by the pursuit of relevance, electoral advantage, or protection within the corridors of power. Politicians often align with ruling parties to secure re-election, avoid political isolation, or get access to state resources. The question is this: is that what other politicians in Senate climb, like we always paint it? And in fact, if you look at it logically, they are indeed sane. Is that what's obtainable in American and European, democracy or political party formations? No. But it's only in Nigeria that you begin to hear stuff like that. The politicians often align with ruling parties to secure re-election, avoid political isolation, or get access to state resources. As we all know, many people have become multi-billionaires today courtesy of state resources. Many people have become, in fact, celebrities today because they have access to state resources. Like I've always said, any money you begin to flaunt, or any wealth you are exhibiting or you are acquiring, and probably some people are suffering somewhere, either via bad hospital, either via bad roads, either via not putting in place necessary farming impetus that can make food available. Of course, to me, I see it as kind of blood money. For the very many people begin to die because of your greed of acquiring more wealth at the expense of other people's life. Like I was on a sister program yesterday and I said, when we talk about prosperity and maybe conscience, you can be prosperous and don't have conscience. Because where do we place it? Somebody that is into drug trafficking, somebody that produce, counterfeit product, fake product, either drugs or consumables, and people taste it and it begins to affect their health. Even some people died in the course of it. Can't just call that as blood money? But of course, we see such people out there and we see them as, oh, this person is prosperous. How I wish I can be like this person. That is kind of political parties or politicians we are having in Nigeria. The singular reason why they jump ship is often based on to secure re-election, avoid political isolation. Because an average Nigerian politician believes that the very minute you are no longer in corridor of power, you have been isolated. I was even surprised when someone will tell you that when in the court of freedom, they will ask you, what job are you doing? What is your business, or what job are you doing? I said, I'm a politician. Is being a politician a job? Is being a politician, is it a job? These are questions begging for answers. Or to get access to state resources. These are one of the cardinal reasons why it appears you see politicians jumping from one party to the other. Of course, lack of internal party democracy, imposition of candidates, factional disputes, and opaque decision-making processes pushed aggrieved members out of their parties. Internal crisis often triggers mass defection, especially ahead of election. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, this is one of the principal cardinal points of defection in Nigeria. But if you look at it logically, to what extent are these things happening? This is what is obtainable in virtually all the parties in Nigeria. That is why I said the whole party in Nigeria have just one ideology. There is no party get to that they want to impose candidates, either genuine or counterfeit. Or maybe when it comes to their, disputes, some people are ready to fight to death, not minding what's going to cause the party. The very minute their interest is not protected, before you see Jack Robinson, off they go. They are ready to wreck the ship, no matter whose horse is God. So far their interest is not protected. No matter how good the government of the day is trying to implement policies that will better the electorate and the masses, the very minute the interest of some certain politicians is not being protected in that political party, they will go all out there to wreck the party. In Nigeria, the scene of the head of people that have been in corridor of power for over 20 years, from legislative arm to executive arm, even to appointment. In this country, I have known of somebody that was a speaker for 8 years, a governor for 8 years, a minister for 8 years, and simply because presently he was unable to fit into any of the political offices, he jumped ship. 8 times 3. That is kind of person or kind of politicians we are having in this country. It goes on and on and on like that. The very minute their interest is not protected in one way or the other, they don't give a damn. They go all out there in pulling down, in bringing down that party that actually made them what they are, in bringing down that platform that made them to be what they are today. The question is this: where lies the interest of the masses? Where lies the interest of the electorate that first and foremost put them in that political office? That let's concern about that. All they're after is anything that affects their own personal interests. They will go out all there in making sure that the interest is protected. And the very minute the interest is not protected, off they go in making sure that yes, they bring that party to its knees. Of course, another thing we need to look into again is the structural incentives and state powers. The dominance of gravitation of party creates a gravitational pull. The very minute a particular party is in government, if you see Jack Robinson, you see people gravitating toward that party. People gravitate toward power a lot, and simply because there is no political ideology. Some people, they will tell you, I cannot fast for another 4 years. The question is this: you've been in government for 4 years, and because you can't, the question is, you see, I'm not surprised, because the very minute some people attain political offices, they begin to live an extravagant life, a flamboyant life that cannot be sustained after they vacate such political office. And that is why the very minute a party succeeds or emerges at the national level, you see people gravitating towards it. That's why I keep on asking the question. People contested on the platform of Labour Party, for instance, in 2023 election. I know of an Okada rider that contested on the platform of Labour Party and became House of Representative member. They have all jumped ship to the APC. The question is this: what is pulling them to the APC? Every person, every political office holder wants political relevance, and they can go all out there in achieving that. So this simply means grab the power, share the position, grab the power, share the offices. And that has been the trend of the Nigerian political system. The legal and constitutional loopholes. Although Nigerian constitution contains provisions against defection, weak enforcement and legal ambiguities allow politicians to defect without losing their mandate in many cases. Of course, the constitution makes it so explicitly clear. I think if I'm able to get the provision, I'll read it out. That the singular reason why you can defect is if your party is having issues at the national level. How many parties are having issues at national level that make people to the camp? But of course, give the Nigerian politician the opportunity. Give them a step that will cover Mars. The very minute they sense there is an issue at national level, and that is what every one of them will leverage on to actually jump ship, particularly to the ruling party. And I keep on asking the question: why does it appear that any government in power doesn't have national issue? It's simply because they have one thing in common: the power. There's enough to share. There is enough to go around. But the very minute it appears that maybe the interest is not being protected, that is when you see them always agitating that okay, their party is having issue at the national level. Premise on this: the very minute there is a singular loophole, you see politicians jumping ship. And the Constitution of Nigeria is so ambiguous to the extent that the loopholes provided there can be exploited to its letters, can be exploited to your own personal interest, depending on how you're able to interpret it to suit your purposes and intents. Now the question is this: who benefits from these defections? Defections here and there, particularly from politicians. Who stand to benefit from it? I can assure you, in the course of the discussion, we now get to know how the masses benefited, or how they are benefiting, so to speak. And that is if at all they actually benefit. Because from research, it has been discovered that the people that benefit from it are the politicians and not the electorate. The main beneficiary of political defections are: one, the ruling party, which consolidates power and expand its political base. Since many politicians are gravitating towards power, many people want to gravitate, many politicians want to align with the ruling party just to make sure that they are relevant, just to secure one political office of the other. And that is why you now see governors jumping from governors to vie for National Assembly, for Senate, or maybe from Senate vying for governorship, changing position, all because they just want to remain relevant. And so that's why I keep on saying that the people that benefit more is the ruling party, because many people to gravitate towards power. If very many you are able to gravitate towards towards the ruling party, there is tendency of you making one or two things, either financially, contract-wise, or appointment from the political party you are aligned with, particularly when it has to do with the ruling party. Individual politicians who secure relevance, protection, and access to resources. Like I said the other time, the very minute you are able to find yourself in the ruling party, there's possibility of you securing more relevance. There's possibility of you securing protection, particularly in the case whereby you've embezzled, in the case whereby you are being pursued by any of the anti-graft agencies. Like a senator once said, the very minute you come to our party, your sins are forgiven. What are the sins that politicians do commit? Is it not embezzlement? Is it not the siphoning of state resources? And if a senator could go on air and say such thing, that the very minute you join our party, your sins are forgiven. So what are we now saying? So it simply means the very minute you align with the ruling party, you are protected. The very minute you are not aligned with the ruling party, then you are exposed. Just like in some cases that we are hearing now in the court. For instance, in the case of Malami, the former Anti-General Federation, and probably Nasir El-Rufai, which his case seems to be more complicated because he said it with his own mouth that was able to tap the phone of the NSA, National Security Advisor. But I can assure you, if El-Rufai were to be in the ruling party, that the case would have died a natural death. If Malami were to be in the ruling party, his case would have died a natural death. So it simply means that what the senator said is not out of context. He has only stated the obvious, that the very minute you are able to come to a party, your sins are forgiven. It simply means that individual politicians secure relevances, protection, and access to resources. I know it's only in Nigeria that you see a politician that is not that buoyant financially. The very minute he or she occupies political offices, they become multimillionaires, courtesy of state resources, courtesy of access to the state resources. And that is why the country is where it is now. And that is why the country is on its knees. And that is why poverty has been weaponized. All because the state resources is in the hands of the few, while the majority are languishing in abject poverty. So the very minute another politician wants to align the ruling party, there is tendency of having access to state resources. Now, what is the implication for this for Nigerian democracy? Erosion of electoral mandate. Defection undermines the sanctity of the ballot. When politicians defect, they effectively transfer voters' mandate to parties the electorate did not choose, creating a legitimacy crisis. I tell that again. Defection undermines the sanctity of the ballot. When politicians defect, They effectively transfers voters' mandate to parties the electorate did not choose, creating a legitimate crisis. Why does it appear that during the First Republic of the Action Group, the NP and Northern People's Congress (NPC) and the NCNC, actually it was more of an ethnic-based and political structure then, but all the same, people actually voted. But the very minute some people begin to jump ship is a matter of transferring the electorate vote or mandate to another party, and this most of the time agitate the electorate, and that is why there is a protest vote in the next election. Of course, politicians too, in one way or the other, equally bear the brunt, because an average electorate voted for you probably on the party platform. So far, there is no independent candidature, which the Electoral Act is yet to even provide. So party members will always go out there to work for their party candidate and win the election. And after which, most of the time, such people go about defecting from one party to the other. Realize the interest of the electorate that actually voted you in the first place. The most profound consequence is the fragmentation of opposition forces. Recent developments illustrate how internal divisions and defection weaken coalition, building efforts and reduces the chances of a united front against incumbents. The very minute people begin to defect, the very minute party begin to have internal crisis, it gives room, it weakens the opposition. It's just like what we are experiencing recently. Some big politicians, we are formerly in a certain political party, and within the time space of 3-4 days ago, a particular, or should I say some set of politicians jumped to another political party, and look at the gate of defection again within the time frame of 5 months. It's been in bed with 2 different political parties, and we're talking about having a strong opposition. The very minute there are internal crises in political party, it brings about internal division, it weakens the opposition, it strengthens and emboldens the ruling party. Of course, this drift towards one-party dominance, with opposition parties losing key figures and influences. Concerns about Nigeria drifting towards a de facto one-party state have intensified. People have warned that such a trend suppresses political competition and undermines accountability. Of course, the very minute you start jumping from one political party or the other, the ruling party gets more emboldened, the ruling party gets more strengthened, the ruling party becomes a more formidable force. Instead of the opposition to become formidable force against the ruling party now begins to gather with all available state resources. The ruling party is always able to muzzle down any form of opposition, exploring all avenues in making sure that opposition does not survive the day, making it or tilting it towards a one-party system. As time is fast spent, I would like to go into the crux of opposition and the 27th question. Nigerian opposition faces a historic challenge: the inability to sustain coalition, manage internal conflict, and present a unified ideological alternative have repeatedly undermined its effectiveness. Recent coalition efforts aimed at unseating the ruling party have been weakened by defections and internal mistrust, illustrating the fragility of opposition unity. Unless opposition parties overcome this structural weakness, they risk remaining perpetually fragmented, effectively handing electoral advantage to incumbents. Let's be clear, defections are not inherently undemocratic. In mature democracies, they can reflect genuine ideological shift, but in Nigeria, they are largely opportunistic, driven by self-interest rather than principles. The real issue is not defection itself, but what it reveals: a hollow party system, a political culture of opportunism, weak institution incapable of enforcing accountability. If left unchecked, this trend would entrench a political orders where elections becomes more formalities and opposition becomes symbolic rather than substantive. It is on this note that I'll be drawing the curtain today on the program Political Pinpoint from the stable of iPower 102.7 FM, transmitted from Emurele in our local government area of Ondo State. My sincere appreciation goes to the general manager of this great radio station in person of Engineer Paul Olotu, the head of news in person of Mr. Alabade Yemi, and of course, the head of program, Olurotimi Elijah. My appreciation equally goes to the entire studio crew that made this program a huge success. And of course, to you, my fans out there, like I've already said, if you are not there, we won't be here. It is because you are there, that is why we are here. I want to say a very big thank you to you all for listening to this program today. And of course, like I said the other time, for feedbacks, contribution, suggestions, and maybe your own perspectives to the discussion, you can always reach us on the studio line 08165 524699. I call that again 08165 524699, or via our social media handles either on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or X on iPower 1027 FM. I call it again iPower 1027 FM. I remain your humble host, Akin Adebayo. To meet you again next week. Bye bye and God bless.
The best station.